This is Ryan Abraham with your Trojan football update. If you follow USC at all, you know it's been a crazy offseason for Clay Helton and the Trojans, and USC sent out a release this week called Catching Up with Clay Helton. They addressed a lot of issues. I thought it was a really good move by USC. We just haven't heard much coming out of the McKay Center or Heritage Hall. So sending out this sort of manifesto of what's been going on, I think was a great way to communicate to the fans what's happening. They actually sent it out right before Graham Harrell was hired as the permanent new offensive coordinator, taking over for Kliff Kingsbury, who was around for about a month before he moved on to the Arizona Cardinals. So lots of interesting things about what they wanted to look for in an offensive coordinator. And I think we talked about that already when USC did hire Graham Harrell. Also, spring football. So we know it's going to start the first week of March, and it will go through the middle of March. It's typically what USC does. Usually it's 6 weeks, and they'll have 1 week off for spring football. But the spring showcase will be April 6th, so probably not the last spring practice, and it will be on campus because the Coliseum will still be undergoing renovations. What's the focus going to be for spring football? Well, Clay Helton said it's going to be attention to detail. They lost the last 4 games by 7 points or less, so he wants to make sure they take care of things like fundamentals and turnovers and penalties. So trying to focus on that during spring football, that's where USC wants to go. There's also talking about the strength and conditioning program. So Ivan Lewis is gone. He's moved on to the Seattle Seahawks. So they're going to be looking for someone that can develop the players totally, but also specifically for the skill sets that they're looking for. He actually gave a very long list of everything he's looking for, including nutrition and everything, I guess you could mention, as far as strength and conditioning goes. So we'll see where they go with that. 2 new graduate assistants are added to the list. So I like the move. So former USC cornerback Chris Hawkins, and then former USC offensive lineman Vianney Talamaiva. So 2 former Trojan football players from recent history that played there under Clay Helton will be taking over those roles as graduate assistants and filling out part of that staff. Clay Helton also addressed the transfers. USC's had some transfers. Players go into the transfer portal, but also talked about the bright side of having 11 new players come in and the veterans welcoming them in as early enrollees as part of this recruiting class. So he said they got some in, they actually lost some. He talked about the transfer portal. Almost 2,000 players are in the transfer portal. Certainly is changing the way college football is running, certainly during the offseason. And the last thing he left USC fans with is saying this team has a chip on their shoulder. And I kind of like that, where this is not going to be the front runner of USC Trojans. They're not coming off a Rose Bowl win or winning the Pac-12 championship. They're 5-7. And I think embracing that, going forward and saying, you know what, this is a team that's got to get back to the basics, back to fundamentals, play tough physical football, make it exciting so USC fans will come out to the newly renovated Coliseum. And having a chip on your shoulder, I think, is a good way to approach that. This is Ryan Abraham with your Trojan football update. Stay tuned to USCfootball.com for more.